Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a review. It's a review with a difference. It's a magazine. I'm sure, I don't know how often this magazine comes out. You can't really get it, or I've never seen it in places like WH Smith's and newsagents like that. I've normally had to order it in. I got this copy through Model Kits for Less on Facebook, and you can also buy it from mjrmodelsandhobbies.com, I believe is the address. So this basically is one of the weathering series of magazines. This one is obviously, as you can see, this is weathering aircraft engines. They're very good books. Each book's magazines, each one concentrates on a certain area or type of modelling. This one, obviously, as I've said, is the engines. So let's get into it and have a look how it's laid out and so on. So we've got a nice shiny cover. It's it's not thick paper for the cover, but it's you know, it's a good quality. It's not a cheap bit of covering at all. But you know, it would bend easy and probably would stain very easy as well. So you know, you would want to keep it clean. So let's go. So the first page, I will say I'm not going to go through the entire book because then all people need to do is photograph each page, and I don't know whether I could get into trouble for that. Basically, copyright or whatever. So I'm just going to skip through it, and then I'll leave an example at the end. I'll take a couple of photographs of one of the projects to tag on at the end. So you get a bit at the beginning from the editor. You know, it tells you what his thoughts and everything, and an advert on the front inside cover. Then you get a breakdown of what's inside. Now it's not just one contributor. You've got 6 different contributors in this episode. We've got Samson Great Wars. It is basically a Fokker engine. Samson radial engine and that. Then we've got the Huey. Is that the UH1Y? Is that the Huey? I can't remember. What I mean when I say I can't remember is I don't know. F104, which shows you how to do that engine. A Spitfire engine by the Diego Quinjano. I'm not sure whether I've said that right, but he is quite famous in the modelling world. He's got quite a few publications out. I think I've got a couple of them. They're very good. And we've got Zero there, and then for the sci-fi fans at the back, we've got the pod from the Tatooine race. So that should be worth looking at. So the beginning, we've got some nice photos of real engines laid out, so we can see how they're sort of built. And you know, the nice colour photos and for reference. We can see all the sort of radiator fins, and I think that's a radial engine there. I'm not sure. I'm not an engine expert. And we can see all the tubing and piping and copper piping and all the various hydraulic lines on this one. Very nice. And then we've got some bigger engines as we go on, some stripped down there, so we can see what they look like stripped down. And then we've got the outside there showing you the sort of metal finish on that one. And then we start with our first sort of engine build, which is the Messerschmitt. or a Messerschmitt, and you know, when I first looked at this, I thought it was just a picture of a real plane, and to be honest, I still don't know whether it is or it isn't. It's been very well made. I'm going to assume that it's a model. I'm sure the more professional modelers amongst you will be able to look at that and say yes it is, or no it isn't. This one obviously is down here, but it's been so well made. I mean, when you see a model that's that looks like you can't tell the difference, you know that is a good model purely on that basis. So then we go into it's literally a step-by-step sort of breakdown on how to build and paint the engine for this kit. It's using MIG products. I think it solely uses MIG products on this one. I'm not sure whether they do all the way through. I will say that I've read through some of these. Now, if you're a complete beginner, I think you would struggle even with this. There are some it's quite in depth in the pictures, and I mean, it makes it sound fairly easy, but from experience in painting these objects at this size, I can tell you it isn't. But this, having said that, this would be a huge helping hand in achieving this. So from that point of view, highly worth it. And then we go on, we look at that, and then we come to my favourite one, which is the Samson radial engines, and this one's from Wingnut Wings, 1/32 scale engine, which is what I based my I'm building a 1/72 scale Fokker Eindecker, and it's got a tiny engine in it, and let's give you some scale, diverting a little bit here, but that's the Eindecker in 1/72. So you can see the engine is very small, and I'm basing my engine on this. Whether it's right or wrong, I just like the look of this. I'm very early on, but I don't know if you can see that, it's quite far away, and I don't really want to mess about with the focus at this point. But you can see that I've already got the sort of copper going around the edge, and I've got to say, this is astounding. And this one is built by Chema Martinez, and again, step by step. And again, it's MIG products, so and he uses a few weathering products. Then we've got Nakajima HA109. They're all very similar, these engines from that period, but then we've got a Kitty Hawk, and that engine and the wiring in there. I mean, look at the wiring and detail that's gone into this. It's immense. Absolutely superb. We've even got a bit on a stealth bomber in there. That wasn't on the front cover or in the... Or is that an advert? Is that an advert? I think that's an advert. General Electric F-104S Starfighter. I mean, these are just amazing. That's obviously a resin kit there, that looks like. Or no, or not. Got to have a steady hand. Some of these are fantastic. We've got a Rolls-Royce Merlin here as well. Beautiful engine there, beautiful. And so again, that's MIG products, so it's obviously continues all the way through. Suggestions on how to make wires and what to use, more step by step there. We've got Thunder Chief, Mercedes D3A, engine there. That's fantastic. We've even got a destroyed engine there from a F4U Corsair. That's a 1/48 scale. So, I mean, you get some idea how small the engine is I'm working on when these are 1/48 scale. So 1/48 scale, if you look at the sort of paintbrush on there, how big it is in comparison. And the cotton bud, I've seen a cotton bud on another engine somewhere that was 1/48 or 1/32. Let me see. No, I've lost it now, but anyway, it gives you some idea how tiny the Eindecker engine is. I mean, that's my nail. It's about as big as my fingernail. But a beautiful kit. I've used a bit of MRP in the middle and Humbrol chrome, Humbrol copper on the outer edges, but the Humbrol copper's gone a bit off, shall we say. I put a few layers on and it's actually worked to my advantage, I think. So sometimes it's interesting that sometimes items can go off and you throw them out, but they actually give you better results when they've gone bad. A prime example of this would be, I don't know if I can find it. This matte coat, Humbrol matte coat, notorious for being bad. I mean, look, it's gone all manky in the bottom. But if you was to give this a shake, stir it up as best you can. I mean, it's pretty yuck. And then put that down over. I would test it first, obviously, on a piece of plastic. Put it down over your colour. It will give a misty sort of whitewashed look. I used it on my stealth fighter. That's when I first found out about it. I initially put it down as a matte coat. It went sort of cloudy, but many comments came back that said it actually gave a good weathering look. So I didn't throw it out. I kept hold of it, and in fact, when I came to do the Messerschmitt, it was one of the options I had open to me to put down this over the top of the paint to look like a sort of light coat of white had been quickly sort of placed all over the top of the plane. So it's worth bearing in mind. It doesn't work for everyone, but it's it's an idea. And then we've got Anakin's sort of pod racer, and then we've got some adverts in the back. And the next issue, what are we going to be in the next issue? Doesn't. Looks like it's going to be exhaust, engine nozzles. I don't know. Spanning all, start flying over. Well, that's odd. It says in the next issue, it gives the impression it's going to be about engines again, which they don't normally do. They normally do one magazine on one, and then they don't sort of do a couple on. But we'll see. We'll see. And there we have it, really. Oil brushes. I'm looking at getting some of those. With another advert on the back, luckymodel.com. So, there we go. That is the Weathering aircraft engines. It says €9 on there. I think I paid about £6 or £7 for it, posted. And it's in English. It does come in other languages. I think Spanish is one. German, I think, will be another one. And there we go. So thanks for watching that. I hope you've enjoyed the review. I hope it's inspired you to maybe have a go at doing one of these small engines, because they look beautiful when they are done. It's well worth putting the effort in. And all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching and goodbye. Oh, and don't forget to like, subscribe, click thumbs up, all that jazz. Bye for now.